观众朋友好，欢迎收看最新一期的子天访谈录，我是子天 Sky 度。今天非常有幸邀请到了我们的州议员金务，和大家一起探讨一下冬季风暴如何在能源丰富的德克萨斯州造成大面积停电。Hi Jin, thanks for joining me today.
For having me.
Yes, please introduce yourself with our audience.
My name is Jin Wu. 我是名字吴元之。I am the state representative for House District 137 in Southwest Houston.
Okay, thank you so much. I have a question. How a winter storm caused widespread blackouts in energy-rich Texas?
Yeah, so the answer to that is actually very long, but the easiest way to explain it is that the cold temperatures cause the stopping of production of energy by several factors. One is natural gas thermal generators stopped because there was no more gas coming from the field. The gas in the field has a little bit of water in the gas, and that little bit of water, when it gets too cold, will freeze and stop coming out of the well and stop the gas from coming out of the well. Okay, that's number one. So most of the power generation in Texas is natural gas and coal. Okay. And for coal, the plants had problems because the water they used to cool, to generate steam, got too cold and froze, and they could not produce steam. And so they have to warm it back up manually. For nuclear reactors, for the nuclear power, the cooling system for the nuclear power, what creates the power, and the water in the nuclear power makes sure that the nuclear plants are safe, got too cold and produced ice. And when the computer for the nuclear power plant detects ice in the system, it shuts the entire plant down for safety. For wind turbines, most of the wind turbines are in North Texas, are in the Panhandle. And on Sunday evening, it was cold, but the additional problem was rain. So you have cold rain landing on the wind turbines, right? And it formed ice on the turbines. And they have to shut the turbine down because if you have ice on one part and no ice on one part, it creates an imbalance and it'll shake and break itself. Same thing for solar. There's a very little solar generation in Texas, but ice formed on top of the solar panels and it couldn't use it. So it was a problem the problem is much bigger than that. But that's the most simple explanation.
So does it snow in Texas, Houston a lot?
No, very, very rare, like once every 10 years. But one of the problems with climate change is that it makes the weather more unpredictable, that it makes the weather more crazy. And part of what has happened, why it was cold, it gets cold in Houston, but it does not get cold for very long in Houston. The difference between what happened this week and what happens in the past is in the past, it may dip below zero, below freezing for one day.
Okay.
And it's over. The difference is we were below freezing for 4 days, 5 days. And that is a big change. And if you look at what the scientists are saying is that the polar vortex, there is a circle of air that moves around the North Pole. And for the most of our history, the circle is a circle. But because of climate change, the circle is now twisting and turning and going further south and back up and further south and back up. And normally the cold front would only go to the middle of the United States, and now it's coming all the way down to Texas.
Okay. Is Texas's power grid connected to other states?
A little bit, a tiny bit. But the problem is not enough. And we don't have agreements to share power like other states do. And that's one of the reasons why, in fact, Texas has connections with Mexico as well, right? We have connections with the other states, we have connections with Mexico, but when the cold weather came, everybody needed power. So even Mexico says, we're not transferring any power to Texas because we need all the power for Mexico, right? And other states, because of the way we have contracts, say, we're not sending you any power when we need power for our area. So if you notice what happened in El Paso had no problems. Because El Paso, even though it's in Texas, is on the power system of a different part of the United States. And they were able to share power in their entire system, and Texas was not.
Also, nearly half of all Texans facing water disruptions.
So that is just connected to the power issue. Texas buildings and Texas water systems are not designed to handle cold weather for very long, right? Because we don't freeze. We don't freeze very long. And even in Houston, if it gets cold, it's only cold for a few days. And one day, maybe two at most. But the system is not designed, so our houses are not designed to be below freezing for a long time because we expect to have power all the time. And because the power went out, many of the pumps and many of the houses, they got cold and the water stopped moving, and then it expanded and it broke the pipes.
Yeah. The governor Abbott said the Texas legislature will begin immediately investigating the situation and drill down into it to make change to ERCOT structures. The public has a right to know what ERCOT is doing. Abbott said how they are making their decisions and why they are. What's your opinions?
So I don't think there needs to be much investigation. We know what happened. We know exactly what happened. We know exactly where the failure was. We know why it failed. We know how it failed. The real question is, what will we do to fix it? The reality is that this system is broken. So I say ERCOT did not fail. ERCOT did not fail. They did exactly what they were designed to do, which was nothing. They were designed to do nothing. They were designed to make sure, to look like they were doing something instead of actually requiring power generators to be prepared for winter, be prepared for hot summer. They don't have the power to actually do anything. They were designed to have no power to make change. They can't regulate, they can't enforce any rules. So this is what I've been saying the whole time is this is a system that was designed by the Republicans because they believe that government should not interfere with anything. They believe in free market and that no regulation and no oversight. And what happened this week is what it looks like when there is no regulation. So there's no investigation that's needed. We know what the problem is. there's a reason why you did not see this same thing happen in other parts of America. Because in other parts of America, they have rules that say if you produce energy, you must be prepared for hot, you must be prepared for cold. And they have rules. And Texas has its own, Texas is separate from the rest of the United States in generating power so that they do not have to follow these rules.
Okay. Does the power outage will happen again in Texas?
Yes.
Then what we can do, what's your suggestion?
So this is the problem. And I don't know what the solution is, because right now we're asking the people to fix the problem that created the problem. Republicans are in charge of the state. They run everything. Governor, lieutenant governor, both chambers of the House, attorney general, comptroller, agriculture, everything. The PUC, the Public Utility Commission, that oversees ERCOT, 100% Republican. The Texas Railroad Commission that oversees oil and gas production that was part of the failure, 100% Republican.
Okay.
ERCOT, 100% Republican. But we're asking them to fix the problem that they created. So if you're asking me what can we do to fix it, you need to go ask the Republicans.
Okay.
Because I'm a Democrat. We're not in charge. We did not cause this problem, and we tried to fix this problem in the past. In 2015, Democrats tried to pass a bill to fix the very problem that happened this week. We had a bill to say that power plants must be ready for winter. And that bill was voted down by Republicans. So, yeah.
So can you give some suggestion about how to apply from the FEMA?
We don't know yet. There's no FEMA help right now because the federal government has not provided any money for help right now. There's no help from FEMA right now. If you need help, if your pipes broke and your home got flooded, you need to talk to your homeowner's insurance. Okay.
How do you think about the much higher the utility, the bills?
Yeah, so many people signed up for what we call variable utility rates, right?
Yeah.
So that when the cost is low, your bill is low, but when the cost is high, your bill is high. And just like the mortgage issue, the mortgage problem in 2008 that helped cause the housing bubble and the recession. People signed up for these plans without fully understanding what the plans meant. But in Texas, because there's no regulation, there's nothing stopping people from making these contracts. It's a contract between you and the energy provider, and there's nothing to say that I'm sorry. If I would give a piece of advice to people is if you have not paid the $20,000 electric bill, if you have not paid it, do not pay it. Don't pay it. Don't make them come sue you. In fact, I would say that the companies like Griddy are almost certainly going to go bankrupt. And I think after they go bankrupt, you can negotiate with it. But I think the legislature is going to look at if there's a way we can help people out, help people pay some of the bills. But there's no money right now.
So you think what's a major reason went wrong in Texas?
the major reason that it went wrong is we were told to prepare and be ready for many, many years, and we did not.
Yeah.
And we did not do it because we did not want to spend we wanted to be cheap and not spend the money. And this is the cost. This is the price that you pay when you are not ready.
Okay. So during the power outage, who makes the decision? For example, in downtown, a lot of the building, commercial building has lighting, but residential, yeah.
Yeah, so what was explained to me was ERCOT, they tell the transmission people how much power to cut. So let's say one power plant went down and it was 100,000 megawatts, right?
Okay.
Or 10 gigawatt. And ERCOT tells all of the transmission people. So transmission people are like Encore, Centerpoint, and your local co-op, people who run the lines.
Okay.
And tell them everybody needs to get rid of 100,000 megawatts, right? Or 10,000 megawatts. And so if Centerpoint in Houston is 40% of the total power consumption in the state, then they need to get rid of 4,000 or 4 gigawatts.
Okay.
And they will just then they have to follow the orders and decide who to cut. And Centerpoint decides who to cut. And the real reason why downtown was left on was because mostly there's a lot of critical infrastructure that is in downtown. So all the computers for the banks, a lot of like federal buildings, the jail, City Hall, and other places that cannot be turned off are there. And there's no way to separate a regular commercial building from something that is more important. And I agree with a lot of people that we did not turn off the power well. It should have been more fair in how the power was turned off, because like my house, we did not have power for 3 days.
Okay, me either. Since Sunday evening.
So I would have loved to, if we could have 20 hours no power, but you give me 4 hours power every day, I would have been very happy.
Yeah.
Because I could have made food, taken a shower, warmed up the house, charged the batteries, and then turned me off again.
Yeah.
That's what we should have done. But there were many people that did not have power for 3, 4, even 5 days straight.
Yeah.
And it was not handled well. And that's something we will discuss in the legislature in Austin right now.
Thanks for joining me today. So can you give me some suggestion for our audience for facing the bad situation? So
if you are watching this and you are still having problems, you have no power, you have no water, or you just need help, contact your city council member, contact your state representative, contact your congressman, right? Call somebody and let them know you need help. Don't just sit there. Like, tell people you need help. There's many people out there providing food, providing water, providing additional help, but you have to ask. And my office is always available. We are doing everything we can. If you have problems, contact us or contact your own state representative.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jin. Thank you for your time today. Thank you.
Bye.
刚才德州州议员金务大概给我们讲了一下，在上周的暴风雪当中造成停电的主要原因。现在我想给观众朋友们普及一下。 在过去的几十年中，气象科学取得了长足的发展，以至于气象学家提前数周就看到了这种极端的冬季天气。这是因为这种极端的模式是由一种巨大的可识别的现象引发的。这种现象于年初在北极地区爆发，称为平流层变暖。SSW 是自然发生的情况，每隔几个冬天就会发生一次，预示着随后的几周将出现极端的天气。那是因为当北极迅速升温时，它和破坏旋转的大量冷空气极地涡旋，每个冬天都存在的半永久性天气系统。刚才经纬也有讲到，以后这种断电断水的情况还会发生，也希望呢我们的观众朋友呢可以储备一些食物，在这种极端天气的情况下呢，可以有备而患。然后这一次呢，这个暴风雪天气呢，给我们的家庭带来了很多的困惑，比如说爆水管，也请联系你的保险公司。如果你需要帮助，可以拨打州政府和市政府的电话。好，谢谢，这就是今天的子天访谈录，我是子天 Skydo，再见。